different messages coming out from Rishi Sunak there. Because on the one hand, he was saying we need to have calm heads, we need to go for a ceasefire. Sir Keir Starmer saying this is the moment for restraint. But Rishi Sunak was saying that Hamas, which is backed by Iran, they started this war. It is Israel's right, its duty to destroy Hamas. And then he points out Hamas rejected another ceasefire yesterday. Why should Israel exercise restraint? From the one hand, they have the duty to wipe out Hamas. Why should they show restraint? Everybody seems to be telling Israel to calm down. I wonder if they'd do the same if their nation were attacked.
And it's not just you, Martin, who has that question mark. It's actually 90% plus of the Israelis, plus a huge amount of people across the world who are wondering how you actually do this. President Biden says right now, it's a win situation. Lord Cameron says the same thing. It's a win situation. Take the win and walk away from the table. But how do you do that when you're actually, at this time, fighting a war? One of the largest wars that has taken place in the Middle East for many, many years. 6 months, in fact, today is 192 days that the October the 7th attacks occurred inside of Israel. 133 hostages still being held somewhere in Gaza, probably in the south, probably in Rafah. You've still got the red alert system going off. It went off just a short time ago before I came into the studio in the north of Israel. That means Hezbollah still firing their daily rockets into northern Israel from southern Lebanon. So the common denominator over here is the Shiites in Syria, Iraq, the Houthis in Yemen, of course Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, all not just backed by Iran, but financed by Iran, trained by Iran, and also they're getting their weaponry from Iran. So that means that when you respond to the Houthis, when you respond to Hezbollah, which Israel is doing right now, when you respond to Hamas and Islamic Jihad and all the other Mujahideen groups inside of Gaza, you're responding, in effect, to Iran.
So in that sense, is there an argument, if you like, for going straight for the head of the snake? Why go for Hezbollah? Why go for Hamas if the source of the issue, the source of the funding, the source of the conflict, if you like, is Iran? There will be those within Israel who would like to strike on Iran directly. Would that be catastrophic for the area and for world peace?
I feel that this is, from the West point of view, right now in the UK, in Europe, and certainly right now in the United States, especially as you're heading towards a November the 5th general election inside of the States. Probably this election, my feeling is, towards the end of November. There's some European elections. You don't want to make this very volatile world even more volatile by actually doing what most people are thinking, but they cannot actually bring themselves to say those words. And that is that eventually the West is going to have a showdown, a real showdown, a proper war with Iran. Now, only 15% of the people, the Iranian people inside Iran, back the Revolutionary Guards, back the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. 15%. It could be during these strikes to Israel on Saturday night to feel a little bit more solidarity with your country, Iran, maybe another 5 to 10%. That brings it up to maybe 25%. The vast majority of Iranians literally loathe the Islamic Republic leadership, the regime. They want it gone. They're waiting for the West to step in. They're actually, believe it or not, the demonstrations on the streets, what we see in London, and some in New York and in Washington and perhaps in Manchester, are actually, they include a lot of Iranians who are completely opposed to the regime. So they're waiting for this opportunity because whilst this war has been taking place in Gaza, and then beforehand we focused very much on Ukraine and Russia, and then there was COVID, where's Iran? Iran has been flying under the radar, building up its enriching uranium, making more centrifuges. It's actually the JCPOA agreement, which Donald Trump was totally against, but for some reason Obama backed it. Well, there were many, many arguments against it, and I had many arguments. One of them was it never actually even talked about ballistic missiles from the Iran side. Now, those ballistic missiles could already hit Israel. They can hit anywhere in the Middle East. They can actually hit Eastern Europe. Those ballistic missiles which Iran are making right now are not for the Middle East. They're not for Israel. It's actually for Berlin, Paris, London, and Washington, D.C. And once the West starts to rise up and start talking about this and looking for that date to hit, we're in a 1930s moment right now. And this 1930s moment is that Chamberlain feeling is, let's not upset Adolf Hitler. Let's not push this. We've just come out of a world war.
Okay.
We just don't want to do this.
Great, so fascinating stuff. Thanks for your input there. That's James Marlow, Foreign Affairs and Defence Analyst. Thanks for joining us in the studio. Superb stuff.